Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I am your host, Sam Fonseca, and welcome back to the 13th episode of the Sporting Updates podcast. Today I'm joined, as always, with my good friend, Steph. How you doing today, Steph?
I'm doing okay. Could be better, but I'm doing okay.
Fair enough. And I'm also joined by, seems to be a regular occurrence, I'm joined by Danny today. How are you today, Danny?
I'm good, man. Glad to be back again. Honored to be back again. Talking about the thing that we all love, sporting. Love the show. Yeah.
Well, we'd love to have you on. And if you want to follow these guys on Twitter, you got Steph at Steph Texiero 1. You want to follow Danny as Danny with 3 N's _S. Follow Sporting Updates Twitter, which is at SCP Updates EN. Speaking of Twitter, we're going to move on to the Twitter questions first. And we've got 3. No. Sorry. And technically we did have 3, but I'm going to add another question onto the true or false part of the show. So the first Twitter question is from Bruno. And he asks, who do you blame the injuries on? And I'll give that one to Steph first.
I think it's a combination of a poor preparation in the preseason and also a poor rotation by JJ. But I think he's limited. I think he's limited in a way, but because he doesn't trust the remaining of the other players. Because if he did, he would do a better rotation. Example, Andre Pinto's proven to everybody he's a center back that we can depend on. So he could do a rotation of 3, 1 game, Quats with Andre Pinto, the next game, Machir with Andre Pinto, the next game, Coates with Machir. So it's just too many games, and I think that's what it is. It's a poor preseason preparation, and also a poor rotation by JJ.
Danny, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Poor preparation and JJ is not rotating enough. You can tell by the way he's totally burned. Like Yuri Medeiros now, maybe if he got a few run of games to rest Acuna, maybe Acuna wouldn't get that injury. And yeah, like rotation is also important to give confidence to these other players because, some can step in like Andre Pinto and take it over and be a good player, and then others can't. They have the pressure on them and they can't perform like that. So JJ's rotation has caused these injuries and also caused like a lack of confidence in the team, I feel.
Fair enough. I'm going to have to agree with both of you, but the thing about the rotation is that it's hard to rotate when we want to win the league and we also want to get the Champions League for that more money. So it's sort of have to either choose one, which would obviously be the Champions League, just to forget about, or, the league, which will never happen, to be honest. Not rotation in the league, I meant, not winning it. But it's hard to blame rotation. I think someone tweeted to Steph, and I know Steph disagreed, that it was bad luck. I think that is a factor too. Just the fact that all of these players got injured pretty much everyone had the same injury, and it was in such a short amount of time that, very unlucky. But like you said, it's probably down to the rotation as well, but it's hard to rotate when you get into this stage of the season.
But it can be bad luck when it's 8. I mean, we're talking about 8 players being injured. That's not bad luck. And all of them have the same injury. It's fatigue, muscle fatigue. So how do you get to that level, to that point? It's when you play way too many games, and then it's a poor preparation of the preseason. And that's what's going on. Most of these players, they play in the national team. They travel back and forth. If they play 90 minutes in and out, they will rupture. Like Acuna, it might be out for a while because that man, he's been playing every single game. Not even Real Madrid and Barcelona plays all the players all the time. They do a rotation. The difference is they have a deep bench and we don't. That's the big difference.
I also agree with the bad luck too because Acuna, he came straight off the Argentina league and they had no break. You know what I mean? So it's tougher for him too. Like his fatigue is a lot more understandable because Like, again, he didn't have that summer break because they play in Argentina while the European players get that break. And then on top of that, you're on the Argentinian national team. That's something that JJ couldn't control. So JJ is part to blame, but it's also bad luck that we got 2 injuries to 2 key players on the exact same game. Like, it kind of sucks. It's something that was somewhat out of his control too.
Well, don't forget that most of our players that won the European Cup for the Portuguese national team, they only had like 3 weeks vacation.
Yeah, but that's 3 weeks more than Acuna.
Yeah, Acuna missed the preseason. He wasn't doing much in the preseason. That was actually, I guess.
Well, and because he was still playing for a Racing club in Argentina too, and like they were in the middle of their season or whatever it was. So he was still playing at a high level while everybody was at preseason, still like getting into it.
So then you're agreeing with me? Should be a better rotation.
For sure, yeah. No, it's JJ's fault, but it's also bad luck to it too.
Yeah, I would say bad luck if it's 1 or 2, but when it's 8 and possibly 9,
that's fair.
I don't think it's bad luck.
So, what games would you two, looking back, would have rotated the team? So, can you think of a particular game where you think, oh, I wish you would have rotated the team, or I wish you didn't play this player there?
Well, the rotation of the team has to be done on a day-to-day basis when you speak to your players. And basically, let's say you're the coach and Danny and I, we play for you. And then you come to me, are you okay? You good to go 100%? If I tell you no, not really, so then you say, okay, don't worry about it. I'm going to go with my next guy. Are you good to go? Sometimes you have to talk to your players and see if they're good to go or not.
I disagree with that, just because I don't think any footballers want to miss any games. So for example, I think if you go to Coates and you say, Coates, are you feeling? He's always going to say, yes, I'm feeling 100%.
No,
or Bastos. No. I think they always will.
No. Maybe at the college level, the professionals, as soon as they feel a little pain, they stop right away, and then they tell the medical staff it hurts, and then. They even the ones that tell the medical staff, "No, sub me because it hurts." And nowadays, these professional players, they know what it costs them if they get a big injury, so they want to come out right away. Depending on the game, I might agree with you. If it's a Real Madrid or Barcelona game or Juventus, I agree with you. But if it's a Braga game or Paços Ferreira, I think they're not going to hesitate and say, "Listen, I'm still hurt. I don't think I should play."
But like I said, though, that's for, not every player. Because I think if you ask Cohen Trout, he would say, yeah, I'm feeling a little tired. And Matteo as well. But for example, I'm going to go with Piccini here. Because Piccini hasn't always been that starting 11. So for example, Georges goes to Piccini. He goes, Piccini, are you feeling all right? Can you play? And if he says no, and Ristovski takes his place, and Ristovski puts in a 10 out of 10 performance, Piccini knows that he's not going to get back into the team. So Piccini's thinking, yeah, I'm 100% ready to go, even though he wasn't because he got injured. But I don't think a lot of players will admit when they feel tired.
Me personally, I think they will because they're professionals, and that's what they've been briefed and instructed to do when they feel a little pain. And if they don't, shame on them, because look at Acuna. Now he's really hurt. Apparently his muscle got ripped, and he might be well for a while.
Well, fair enough. On to the next question. This one is from M. Piver7, and he asks, if you were JJ, who would you buy in the January transfer window? I'll give this one to Danny first.
Messi and Ronaldo.
Okay, let me rephrase the question.
I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. I got it. So, like those 2 players that we're linked to, Martinez and Pavon. I don't watch the Argentinian league week in, week out, but I used to watch it a lot more last year than I did this year. They're pretty good wingers, but to me, what needs to be more addressed, I'd get them, either one of them at least, to fill in that Acuna spot because Acuna might be out, and because Yuri Medeiros clearly isn't in JJ's plans anymore. But to me, what we need is a striker, not a second striker to play off Bastos, because we have that in Province, we have that in Bruno Fernandes, we have that even in Alan Ruiz if he gains his form from last season. We have a few of those. What we need is a second striker after Bastos, because it's clear that the investment in Doumbia isn't good enough. This is like his 3rd or 4th game in a row where he comes into the field and does absolutely nothing. we have to if we're already burning off Yuri Medeiros, who still has a ton of potential, then I can't imagine why we're still giving Doumbia a try or Doumbia a go. He's showed that he's not good enough to come off the bench. He's not good enough to play for us. Maybe he's past his days. And yeah, so if it was me, I'd get another striker, maybe another target man like Bastos or somebody.
Fair enough. Steph?
Well, I think me personally, I don't think we should buy anyone because the more you buy, the more salaries you have to pay, and that's how we get in trouble financially. But we have a couple loans that could come back, such as Sheikh Giralds. It would be a good option to come back. And then also, if you want another center back, you have Duarte. Duarte also could come back. But we also have good kids as center backs in the B team. If I would buy someone, it would be another winger. But besides that, I wouldn't really buy anybody. Even if I wanted to give you names, I don't know who's for sale in January. So it's tough to say names because we don't know who's for sale. And then if somebody is for sale, it's because they're not doing that great with their team. So we're just going to get, someone that's not performing well for their teams as well. So we might as well trade one of our players that's not performing well for another player that's not performing well in another team. So it's really tough choices. In this case, the best thing to do is look at the smaller teams in our division and see who's doing really well in Rio Ave or Guimarães or Braga. And then they'll be willing to come to our team motivated and playing well because, it's a big team. And that's what I would do.
For me, personally, I'd get another left back. Who I'm thinking of at the moment is the one who just got released from his team, supposedly, Patrice Evra. I think, although the salary would probably be a bit
He's
high.
36, so he's going to be full of injuries too. So,
but he could be useful against Benfica, and he can just fucking kung fu kick fucking Jonas or something like that. So I have him on the team any day of the week, bro. I don't give a shit.
So why don't you hire him as a bodyguard?
You know what I mean? Maybe we should.
No, he's 36. He's going down the hill, and he's into martial arts, kicking everybody's ass. Nah.
But Cointreau is, 29? And he's already full of injury. If we play Evra, we play Jonathan Silva, then we'll play Evra over Silva and Cointreau over Silva. But like we've seen, Cointreau gets injured, we play Silva and we're weak. If we had someone like Evra, I know you say he's 36, kind of the end of his career, but I know he doesn't play for Sporting. But look at people they thought that Jonas, and Jonas he dives a lot, but you can't deny that he's made an impact at Benfica. There's been a lot of other players as well. So who knows? And
Evra's even played good, even though he's 36. He's still played good. He has that experience. We're still a relatively young team that, we have that pressure on us to win the league because we haven't won it in so long. And Evra can be that. He's won everything at Man U. You know what I mean? Like, he can come in, even at Juventus. He's won a lot. So he can come in, tell us to chill out. Give us that motivation that we need. I'm with you. I wouldn't mind Evra.
Well,
Jonathan Silva.
I'll give you a name. Let me see what you guys think. What about Jefferson from Braga? He's our player, and he's playing phenomenal. He's playing phenomenal. He's playing phenomenal now. He's playing phenomenal. And unless you guys only watch Sporting, if you guys he's playing. We don't have to pay a cent. We just have to call him back. And then, he's playing he didn't play last game because obviously he's on a loan. But if we call him back, I'm pretty sure now he's thirsty. He wants to show everyone that actually he's still a good left back. And that would be the solution. But, I'm happy Jonathan Silva's proven everybody wrong that if he starts the game from the get-go, he can play well. But coming off the bench, he sucks. So that's a lack of chemistry or not warming up properly. But doing the whole game against Juventus and Braga, he was fairly good. So
Well, the thing about Jefferson, and I'm going to compare it to Yuri, because he's gone to, no disrespect to Braga, but obviously not as big a team as Sporting. They've gone, and like Yuri went to Boavista, they went to lower league teams and they played very well. Look what happened when Yuri got back. Nothing. He's done nothing for us. And I feel if we called Jefferson back as well, exactly the same thing would happen.
No, I think Jefferson is something totally different from performance. It's something to do with the club itself, with our president, when he didn't let him go to Russia, and he holds a grudge against it, and also with bad chemistry with JJ. But he's still a Sporting player, and now if he goes back and he plays as well as he is with Braga to prove them wrong, I think I mean, I'm not saying he's the solution, but he's our player. We don't have to pay $3 million or $4 million for an old international French player, 36, that is going to kick everybody's ass with kung fu.
Fair enough. Okay, that's the end of the questions for now. But moving on to the true or false part of the show. If you haven't heard this thing before, I simply ask the two guests, well, one guest and my co-host Steph, and I'll say a statement or ask them a question. They'll give me a true or false answer. Each question is specific to that person. Play along the YouTube live chat or on Twitter, and I'll read your responses out. Okay, starting with Steph. So there's a stat going around, Steph, that Sporting have lost 6 points in the last 5 league games. So the question I'm asking you, the true or false statement I'm asking you is, have we lost the league title already?
No. False.
Why?
Oh, you want an explanation too? Okay,
yes.
Good. Very demanding, this guy. And this is just the 11th game. Are you kidding me? We still have we have a total of 34 rounds. This is a marathon, so we haven't lost one game. So that's a good indicator. So we still have 23 games left. You really think Porto's going to win every game and Benfica's going to win every game, or we're going to win every game? No. So it's just this, who's the more consistent that will win the league. So we're still in a good place, and no, we're still in the race, of course. No doubts about that.
Does that stat not worry you, though? 6 points in the last 5 league weeks.
No, not really. I mean, we tied against Braga, okay? So a 2-2. We tied against Porto, 0-0. And what was the last game we tied against? Moreirense?
Moreirense, yeah.
Yeah, and we tied. That's the only game that concerns me. Against those small teams, we have to win. But tying against Braga and Porto, it's actually, if you look at it, it's not a bad result. But when we lose against Moreirense and Estoril and Freirense, that's when we lose the league.
Fair enough. Danny, on to your true or false statement now. And this one has been doing a lot of rounds on social media as well. It's a very controversial subject. And the statement is, was that the worst refereeing performance of the year for both teams?
Yeah, true. Of the year, definitely, that takes it. Disallowed goals on Braga's part simply because the referee blew the whistle before they got their shot off, which shouldn't have happened. With the VAR in place, the referee should know that he shouldn't have to call everything so quick, because he can go to the video replay to see if it is offside or not. So even though we're Sporting fans, like, you know, Bruno Carvalho and we like to say that we're really in it for the verdade desportiva, the truth in sports. So that was terrible on their part. And then for us, there was a penalty that could have been called against Portuguese in the box right after that. It wasn't. There was I don't know how Braga finished the game without a red card, because after it looked like every attack that we were after, there was some sort of foul. Ricardo Isgai finished the game with 8 fouls and only 1 yellow card. I think André Pinto had 1 foul and 1 yellow card. I don't understand the fairness in that. Yeah, there's a bunch of dodgy calls for both teams. It's not just us. It was even, but we got benefited from a few calls too. So yeah, that was, especially in the Sporting game, that was probably one of the worst refereeing of the year.
Fair enough. This last one is to both of you, and concerns that Braga game. And I'll give it to Steph first, then I'll give it to Danny. And this one is that Sporting deserved to draw that game.
Yes, of course, no doubts about that. Sporting had enough chances to actually put the game away, but they didn't. And then for some reason, I don't know if it's the water they drink in Lisbon, but every time we score 1-0, we tend to go back to a lower block. I don't get that. You get 1-0, go after the 2-0, but and that's how we get in trouble. We think the 1-0 is good enough. That's not good enough against a good team like Braga. Go after the second goal. So anyway, I'm a little bit frustrated because this was an important game to win, to prove a point. But I'm not a dummy. I mean, we didn't have six starters on the pitch. I mean, we had Piccini out, Mature out, Fabio Coentrão out, Acuna out, and what's the other player? There's one more player missing. So it was and William Carvalho out, and Bas Dost then later. So that's a lot of players. I know we're asking JJ for a lot, but when he doesn't have 6 of his reliable players, it makes it very difficult. And I'm pretty sure you guys agree with me.
Danny, do you agree?
Yeah, no, I agree. But at the same time, the squad isn't 11 players. We have 20-something players. JJ should have. We should have addressed. We should have a good enough bench after the last 2 years or 3 years with Jorge Jesus in charge. I think our biggest weakness and the thing that fans needed the most was squad depth. When we had depth in our squad, like the year with João Mario and William, that we got 86 points and Benfica beat us by 2 points, that showed us that we had the depth. We had, up until January, we had, Slimani and Freddy Monteiro and Teo Gutierrez, 3 incredible strikers that can score goals. This year, we have Bas Dost. We have nobody else to as a striker to score the goals. When they have, our midfield, we just have Bruno Fernandes, William, and Battaglia, and that's it. So, we don't have of course we don't have 6 injuries is a lot. 6 of our starters is a lot, but it's deeper than that. We should have strengthened a lot better, or we shouldn't be burning players that clearly show that they have the potential. Now, with the true or false thing, it's true. We definitely deserve to tie. I don't understand what happens in these players' heads that in the last 5 to 10 minutes of a game, they blow the lead. And it's embarrassing that in the 85th minute and the 88th minute, Braga scored 2 goals to go ahead of us. Good on us for fighting and for getting that penalty back so we can tie the game. But honestly, I wouldn't... I'd be bold enough to say that we even deserve to lose that game. We did not play good enough. We created chances, but we couldn't bury them. Mateus' first half was incredible. He saved the Bruno Fernandes kick, and I think like the header off Coates from a corner. Diving save, beautiful saves from him. He's probably Braga's best player, but yeah, we definitely deserve to tie, if not lose that game. We didn't deserve a win.
I have a disagreement on one of your points, and that was the last 5-10 minutes. That second goal, I don't really see how any of, well, especially Pinto and Patricio, and that goal was like it took a deflection. So in your case, do you think you could really blame the defenders on that last goal for Braga?
That's fair. That's a fair point. But at the same time, we're still defending too deep to allow Danilo, who's a center defensive mid, to get just outside our box to get a shot off. Even with the 1-1, we didn't defend well enough. Or I know it was a penalty, but still that through ball that went through, it was perfect for Braga, and we weren't ready enough to handle it. And then obviously Coates, he made the mistake and gave them the penalty basically. But it's not just the Braga game; it's most games. We can't hold a lead, or we can't hold something in the dying minutes of the game. You see it with Juventus twice. You see it with, I know they're bigger teams, but you see it with Barcelona. Even against Olympiacos, we almost blew that towards the end, and we were up 3-0. even in years past, we would be up 3-0 against Guimarães, for example, and then blow it for a 3-3 draw. You know what I mean? It's a mentality thing within the team. To me, I don't think Jorge Jesus is a good tactician defensively enough for us to be dropping back, for us not to be going for the game after every minute. You know what I mean? Like, even though we're 1-0 up, I don't have faith in Jorge Jesus to shut up shop and get us that 1-0 or, you know, that win by like a 1-goal margin.
Fair enough. That brings us to the end of the true or false. So now we'll go on to the review of the game against Braga, which ended in a thrilling 2-2 draw. Bastos and Bruno Fernandes scored for Sporting, and the lineup is as followed: Rui Patricio in goal, Stefan Ristovski at right back, El Patron, Sebastian Coates, Andre Pinto, Jonathan Silva, Rodrigo Bataglia, Bruno Cesar, Bruno Fernandes, Max Cunha, Jose Martins, Bas Dost. And Podence came in for Acuna, Dumbi came in for Dost, and Alan Ruiz came for Bruno Cesar. I'll give it to Steph first. What did you think of the game?
Well, it's for a fan, for Portuguese fans and Braga fans as well too, because I'm pretty sure they feel the same way as I do. They could have won the game, like Danny said. Me personally, I think the tie was short. We should have won, but we didn't. But overall, the game, it was a very difficult team to play against at home against Braga. I was expecting us to win in a comfortable way, but like Danny said, we just somehow, somewhat, we can hold the leads. I mean, we scored 1-0 at minute 66, so we had 24 minutes left, and we couldn't hold the lead. I mean, Braga scored really late. They scored at the 86th minute and by Diego Souza, and 89th minute, again, one of those amazing goals that Danilo will never score again in his life, but he scored against Sporting somehow. It's always like that. It was very, very, very frustrating because we got the lead, which was extremely difficult at minute 66, and we blew the goddamn lead again. And we had players like Petrovic that could have come to the pitch and help out the midfield, because our midfield looked exhausted. And for some reason, the Braga team, I don't know, seriously, I'm being serious about this. They played on Thursday, so they had one less day of rest than Sporting. And they finished the game the same way they started the game, nice and fresh. So I don't know, I don't know what they drinking or something, but something was off a little bit. I noticed that too. I know Saraiva said that, and he's in trouble because he said it. But I felt the same way as a fan. I'm like, wow, the Braga team, it doesn't feel like they're tired at all. So I'm not accusing them of anything. That's not my intentions. But I guess they have a better coaching staff that prepares them better.
Fair enough. Danny, what did you think of the game?
Facing Benfica B, the Lampions do Norte. Oh, sorry, I mean Braga. It's a tough game, man. It's always going to be a tough game. They're always going to have a chip on their shoulder to get it one against us or Porto and Benfica. To prove that they're also like a very good team. So, it's an okay result to have because of how good their team is and how big and not how big, but how good their team is. But the one thing that frustrates me more as a Sporting fan is you see their substitutions and compared to ours, and their substitutions are better. They have the kid Teixeira on loan for Porto coming off the bench. They had Fábio Martins coming off the bench, and then they had Souza who scored the goal against us, isn't it? I think.
Yep.
Oh no, it was just Danilo and who else? Yeah, it was him.
Yeah,
he came off the bench to score. Yeah, he came off the bench to score the penalty. So
no. It was João Teixeira and Fábio Martins.
Yeah, and Souza too, Diego Souza. I think I'm pretty sure he came off the bench. But nonetheless, those two subs alone, Fábio Martins and Teixeira, apart from Podence, were much better subs than Dumbia and Alan Ruiz. So I think that's what won them the game as well. Their players coming off the bench were fresh. they're good players, quality players, and also have a point to prove. So kudos to them for building a good team, and yeah, it was a tough game, and it was a scrappy game. It was kind of annoying to watch.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was also like a war going on. So you gotta like that aspect too. Both teams fighting for second balls. Both teams really fighting to win the ball back, to really push forward and all that. So yeah, a good game for the neutral, and a frustrating game for us for sure. I bet Braga fans. I know that most of them are part-time Braga fans and part-time Benfica fans, but they probably feel the same way. Frustrating game to watch because of certain decisions from the referees and all of that. But yeah,
for me, if we went into Braga with our full team, like we did our team at the start of the year, maybe the team against Barcelona, and we drew 2-2, I would come on here and say that I'm pissed, I'm this and that. But when you look at the lineup and you see how many players that we didn't have available, William Carvalho, best midfielder, heck, even best player, you might say, in Sporting's team, our two fullbacks, Pacini and Comintrao, nowhere to be seen. Arguably, our best centre-back is Jerry Mateu, not there. And then you've got others that are not available too. Dawson Acuna going out during the game, that is a big blow. So for me, I'm disappointed with this result, of course, but I wouldn't be as disappointed now than if it was our main team, because with the players they have, we look at Ristovski, Jonathan Silva, Bruno Cesar, and and Pinto, I forgot as well. If you add, how many have they played with that full team that is on the pitch? They've come on a sub a few times, but they have never played together apart from that game last week against Juventus. But still, that takes time for a new team to gel, especially fullbacks when you think about it, because they're going up and down the pitch, they need to cross it in. And even players like Bruno Cesar, they have to take time to gel to the team as well. And think about it, a centre-back as well, crucial position in the team. They have to gel with the midfielders, even goalkeeper, attackers, even the fullbacks as well. So that team hasn't had enough time to gel, in my opinion. But 2-2, like we said earlier, I think based on the performance is a fair result. The refereeing as well, like you said, a lot of you see a lot of Benfica fans or Porto fans on Twitter. They only see the one highlight, and that is the offside goal, and they're like, "Oh, Sporting bought the game. Sporting did this. Sporting did that." But even when Braga tweeted out that long video of all the decisions gone against them, not once was there the two penalty calls that we should have. One on Bruno Cesar, one on Podence. There was no elbows from Braga defenders. There was no last-ditch challenges from Ezegai, which it definitely should have been sent off, in my opinion. The only problem I had with the Sporting call was obviously the calls against Braga even were the one. So the offside, obviously, that should have counted, in my opinion. And then there's the Andre Pinto should have been, in my opinion, as well, sent off. He was already on a yellow, and he made some pretty bad tackle on the edge of the box. I'm for sure he thought it was gone, but the referee kept him on, to I think everyone's surprise. Though the only two decisions I had a problem with that game. For Braga's case, I still think we should have had penalties. Was the VAR broken because he didn't use it once? He should have used it twice on the two penalties, and obviously on the offsides. So maybe VAR needs to be looked at again. Maybe it needs to go a complete overhaul, or maybe the referee was just too afraid to use it. Who knows? But for me, I think it's a fair result.
But okay, there's a couple things that you got on my nerves with. Even though we Portuguese, we can disagree with each other.
Yeah, that's fine.
Which happens all the time. And then Pinto didn't deserve another yellow card, because I'm going to explain to you why. And when people say, especially Benfica and Portuguese, oh my God, it should have been a yellow card and a red card. First of all, it wouldn't have made any difference because it was the end of the game. Second of all, he was not the last player to be another yellow card. It was after him, you had 3 or 4 more defenders, other players. And then he didn't tackle from behind. He tackled from facing his opponent. That's why I don't think it's a yellow card, because if you show that a yellow card, so you're going to end up finishing every single game with 6 players only on each side. the game of football is beautiful when it's also physical. If everyone is complaining, oh, you should have gotten this yellow card, pretty soon let's not even watch football and let's watch ballet on TV. Hey, I mean, people are they asking too many times for yellow cards. The game of football is beautiful because of the physical portion of it too. So in that aspect, I disagree with you. And then the VAR on the offside against us, like Danny just said it, and I went back to do my research also. The referee, he's the one who blew the call. He blew it. But when he blew it, everybody stopped and they couldn't review that play because he blew it before he scored the goal. So that play was dead. So that's on the referee. And now for people to say that Sistra was helping Sporting, I really doubt that. Just go back and see how many games he was a referee for us, and he never benefits us. So that if you want to blame somebody, to Benfiquistas and Portistas listening to our podcast, maybe there's a few, blame the referee. It has nothing to do with Sporting. He blew the call. It's not even VAR's fault. They couldn't review the play. The play was dead before it finished.
Okay. The VAR one, I'll agree with you on. But the only problem I have with the Pinto yellow card, I know you said it's not from behind, blah, blah, blah. But if Pinto was not on a yellow card, he made that same tackle. I have no doubt in my mind the referee would have given him a yellow card. That's all I've got to say. And when he used this, yeah, it doesn't matter if it's at the end of the game, but a rule is rule. If you make a bad challenge and you want a yellow card, that should be sending off. And that's for every team, not just Sporting or Benfica, not Porto. So for me, the Pinto call, I think the ref blew that one as well.
I don't think so. I mean, if your referee shows a yellow card because of the same play he did and then he doesn't want to show when he does the exact same play, I mean, it means that the referee is inconsistent. He's not even confident about his abilities.
Fair enough. Danny, what did you think of the Pinto yellow card? Or second yellow card? I can't remember the second yellow card. I only remember the first one, which, I mean, I guess he deserved that first yellow card, even though it was probably his first foul in the game. The only thing I have to say to that is, I guess it's fair in a way of the way the referee was reffing to not give him a second yellow card, because there was a few times where Ricardo Luizgaio should have got his first yellow card, and then when he got his yellow card by dragging down either, I don't know if it was Province or Gelson now when they were on the run, and he finally got the yellow card, that could have been his second. And then in the second half, a few of his challenges were very risky, very bad challenges, and he could have also gotten his red. So, from the point of view, the way the referee was reffing the game, I guess it's fair. If you're not going to give out a yellow card for harder challenges versus those that already do have a yellow card, I guess it's fair not to give André Pinto a yellow. What's the second yellow card that you're talking about?
So it was right on the edge of the box. It must have been the 90th minute. It was so Braga had a free kick on the edge of the box.
Yeah.
Pinto slid in before.
Yeah, he could have got a second yellow for that. To be honest with you, he could have. Those are more like opinionated for the refs. It was a hard challenge. He didn't he didn't really get the ball at all. He got all of the Braga's player, or all of his legs, the Braga players. So it could have been a yellow. But like I said, the way the referee was refereeing the game, it wouldn't have been fair to give André Pinto a yellow and not have, or to give André Pinto his second yellow and not have given at least Ricardo Luizgaio a second yellow. So the way he was reffing it, I guess it's fair in that point of view. But yeah, they both could have been sent off.
Yeah, fair. I'll agree with that actually. Okay, now on to the player ratings, which we go through the start 11 and rate them out of 10. And start with Danny. What would you rate Rui Patricio out of 10?
I'll give him a 7. He handled Braga didn't really attack too much. Not that I remember, at least. They had their 2 goals. Maybe Patricio could have done better on the Danilo goal, but it was deflected, so it's hard to tell the trajectory of the ball when it hits your defender when you're not ready for it. Yeah, I'll give him a 7.
Fair enough. Steph, what would you give Patricio out of 10?
I'm going to give him an 8. Like Danny said, that deflection, there's nothing he could have done about. I was kind of upset that the midfield, I don't know. It was like a highway. I don't know how he showed up in the middle of the box by himself. That's when somebody should foul him and get a yellow card. But and then he tied the game, and all of a sudden our team was kind of shaking. But it wasn't Rui Patricia's fault. Even the penalty, he guessed which side he would kick the ball to, but it was nicely placed by the Braga player, Diego Souza, and nothing he could have done. So an 8 to Patricia.
I want to give him a 7 for the same reason you both said, because none of the goals are his fault. Nothing he could have done about it. But for me, I can't give a goalkeeper, even if he literally did nothing wrong, I feel like it's hard to give a goalkeeper over an 8 rating, 2 goals went in. So I'm just going to keep it at 7 for Patricia. Steph, I'll give you this one because he has the same name as you, sort of. I'm going to go with Stefan Ristovski. What would you rate him out of 10?
I'm going to give him an 8. I think he's a pleasant surprise for everybody, and everyone is kind of wondering why wasn't this player playing before Piccini got hurt, and that's called again a rotation of your players. Maybe it's a new word for JJ, but fuck man, this is why we have 8 injuries. And if you guys want to say it's bad luck, don't play the lottery because you're never going to hit it. But, there's no bad luck with 8 injuries, all being related to muscle fatigue. Piccini could have been saved a few times, and we even said on this podcast, we only have 13 podcasts counting this one, but how many times did we say, why isn't Vidowski playing today? Quite a few times. Quite a few times. So we could have prevented this injury by Piccini. But no, JJ wanted Piccini. In nowadays, playing football now in the 21st century and 10 years ago, it's way different. First of all, it's a lot more games. First of all, it's much more physical. And first of all the other teams, they're all nicely prepared. Rio Ave, Setúbal, they have good coaching staffs. They have good facilities. They have the best of the best. The Portuguese coaches, they're the best in the whole world as far as coaching. So to me, it's shame on JJ by not rotating their players. He has to trust everybody. If you pick these 24 players, it means he trusts the 24 players. So do a rotation so everyone can play at 100% each game.
Calma, pá, calma. Jeez.
Então, com calma, caralho, o Porto já está na frente, pá. O Porto já está. How many points already? 4?
Calma, we're only in November.
I know. Is it 4 points or 5
I feel
points?
you.
4. So they have to lose and tie.
Yeah. Easy.
Okay. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Braga, when they go there, hopefully they play the same way. Benfica also have a lot to prove still. Hopefully Slivlar doesn't score in his own net again,
Yeah, we know that against Benfica they'll open their legs to Braga, so don't count on that.
Yeah, for sure. I already said Benfica B, bro. We played Benfica B.
Os Lampions do Norte.
Yeah. Jinx. Danny, what would you rate Ristovski out of 10 in this game?
Yeah, I'll also give him an 8. He played really well again, up and down the flank. Defensively, he was good. Offensively, he was good. The only thing he has over Piccini right now is his pace. I agree with what you were saying, Steph, even though originally I was always saying, we should keep with Piccini because Piccini also a quality right back, and I still see him as that. But, Jorge Jesus works with these guys every day. He should be able to tell that he has 2 good quality right backs that he can trust. And maybe had he actually rotated more, Piccini wouldn't be injured right now, and we'd be able to have both our good right backs. I think the only I was gonna make a bad joke. The only row Jorge is concerned with is rotisserie chicken. You know what I mean? That was a shit joke. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying.
No, man. You should be a stand-up comedian,
Hey. Thank you.
I'm going to give Ristovski I'm gonna give him a 7. I thought it was pretty average. I didn't think he was anything. His game against Juventus was fantastic, but this game I felt like he did nothing wrong, but he didn't do, in my opinion, anything that great either. So I'm gonna stick with a 7 for Istovsky. Next player is the patron, Sebastian Coates, and I'll start this one off. I was really disappointed with him, so I'm gonna give him, mostly based on the penalty he gave away. I have to give him a 5, honestly. He, as an experienced centre back, he should not be making that tackle. If you watch it again, you see the boys clearly far away from the attacker. It's going out of play all to Patricio, and there's no need for Coates to make that tackle. And he has, and he's given away a penalty. Luckily, it didn't cost us in the end. Well, technically, cost us because we only got a point, but it didn't cost us for 3. So Coates disappointed me. Coming off the episode, I literally said he's always been fantastic, never done me wrong, and then this game I feel like he was very poor. So Coates gets a 5. Steph, what would you give for Coates?
Coates, I'm going to give him a 7. He played well, but on Monday after the game, then he was also listed as injured, and per you and Danny, it's just bad luck. But
hey, I didn't say exactly that. I said it was both.
so there it is. This is why he was late to the play, and then he did the penalty. But again, fatigue, muscle fatigue, and guess what? He didn't go to his national team, and we have another player that's hurt because of his muscle fatigue. And again, it's just bad luck.
You know what it is? It's the Benfica witch doctor. What was his name again?
Hey, Sam.
You know what? It could be that. You're right.
Hey, Sam, I'm going to tell you something we're saying in Portuguese. Número fodas, meu. Because this is not bad luck. It's a poor rotation.
Fair enough. Danny, what would you rate Coates out of 10?
I have to agree with you. I'll give him a 5. El Patron was not the Patron today or yesterday or Sunday. Sorry. No, he shouldn't have gave away that penalty. Like you were saying, I was going towards Patricio. You'd expect a more inexperienced defender to do that. You'd expect that more in an Andre Pinto, even in a two. You'd definitely expect that in a 2B-ish. He looked like he was inspired by that Evra kick and almost kicked the guy in the face. But no, yeah, I give him a 5. It wasn't good enough from Coates this week. To me, I look at him as probably our third captain behind William and Patricio. And in this game, he didn't lead. He didn't contribute anything defensively, because even when they were attacking, he didn't even look that, especially towards the end, he didn't look solid defensively like he normally does.
Fair enough. Steph, what do you rate Andre Pinto out of 10?
Andre Pinto, I'm going to give him a 7 as well. It was a very difficult game for him, and you could see in this point of view, I do agree with you, Sam, for the first time today. That Andre Pinto and Coates, they lack a little bit of chemistry because they haven't played together for a while. So that was noticeable. And then his left, because he plays more towards the left than Andre Pinto. His chemistry with Jonathan Silva also not at 100%. So you could see a little bit of a problem of communication between the defenders, our defense, and that makes a difference sometimes, especially when you want to put somebody on offside, or that play when Coates was late to the ball and he made a penalty kick against us, and then Pinto was also a little bit towards the left. So I'm going to give him a 7. He played well, and I think he'll be much better once he starts playing with Coates or Macho a lot more. And then the chemistry going on, then it'd be much better. But I did detect that because they haven't played together for a long time, they lack of chemistry.
Fair enough. Danny, what would you rate Pinto out of 10?
Yeah, I'll give him a 7 as well. Out of the two center backs, he was the better one. He's been stepping up ever since Mateu's injury too, so it's not a shock that he's a good defender. I mean, in hindsight, we can say maybe he should have closed down Danilo a lot better, but I wouldn't expect Danilo to shoot from that far and to do well, so I doubt he would too. And again, it's easier for us to say this now as opposed to when it's happening live in the game. But yeah, aside from that, he played a good game. Yeah, I'll give him a 7.
I'll agree with both of you. Give him a 7 as well. I did see a lot of people on Twitter blaming for their own goal, and I felt that was really well. I'm not sure if it counted as an own goal. Daniel was good, but I don't think he was to blame. That is the luckiest bounce on a player that I think Daniel will ever get in his life. So for me, Pinto gets 7. He was solid. Didn't do anything too wrong. Like you said, the better centre back, which is incredibly rare. If you told me that a month ago that Pinto would play and he'd outplay Coates, I'd probably laugh at you, but that's how it went. So yeah, Pinto gets a 7 from me. Annie, what would you give Jonathan Silva out of 10?
I'll give him a 6. He didn't play terrible. He wasn't at fault for any of the goals, at least that counted. With the offside goal that was wrongly called offside, he stupidly he played the defender onside, and had the ref not blown his whistle, it would have been a goal because after the ball came in, after Braga finally made the pass, Jonathan Silva for some reason tried to play the offside trap, even though the ball had already left the Braga player's feet. Which, I mean, is confusing to me as to why you would do that, why you wouldn't stick with your defender or with the attacker. But luckily for us, because of bad refereeing, that goal didn't count. But aside from that, he didn't contribute much defensively. There was one time where he was so out of position that if it wasn't for Gelson being in the box and running back and defending, Braga probably would have got a goal a lot earlier. Jonathan didn't really offer much going forward either. I know him and Acuna really have that chemistry, so it's maybe tough for him to provide the same with Paul Vince or with Bruno Cesar on the left. But even still, you'd expect a bit more from him, and he didn't do much. So yeah, I give him a 6. It wasn't a good game from him at all.
Fair enough. Steph, what do you give Jonathan out of 10?
I'll give him a 7 as well. I mean, defensively, it was okay. He held his own. Offensively, with Acuna was much better than after Acuna, of course. They do have a good chemistry together. They play well together, and so a 7 overall. I'm pleased to see that in two games that he played 90 minutes, he was actually very consistent. So which drives me to believe he's one of those players that when he plays from the get-go, he's much better than coming off the bench. So I actually think that JJ should do a better rotation with him and Fabio Coentrão, not wait until Coentrão is hurt. Avoid that. And he has proven that against Juventus and Sporting de Braga that we can count on him. Maybe you would judge them too fast, including me, of course. But Jonathan Silva, he's learning from his mistakes and his experience, and I foresee him to be actually a great player for Sporting for the remaining of the season.
Yeah, I'll give him a 7 as well. He didn't play that bad. I thought it was like I said to Ristovski as well. They both played average. I can't expect them to be. I can't expect Jonathan Silva to be like Coentrão was, because I know he's had a lot of injuries, but I feel like Coentrão's been pretty good when he's been called upon. And when obviously we've seen Jonathan Silva the opposite. But the last 2 games, I feel like Jonathan Silva's played quite well. Like Steph said, I'm not going to praise him just yet because there's still a long time in the season to go. But if he carries on like he's been doing as he's starting, who knows? He might take Coentrão's spot.
Mm-hmm.
Next player I'll start off with is Battaglia, and to be honest, I can't recall him doing anything of note, but that might just be me being a bit stupid. So I'll give him a 6 because, like I said, I really can't think of anything he did. He was sort of invisible for me. But like I said, that might just be me. So I'm going to pass one on to Steph quickly, so to give his opinion.
Well, yeah, I feel the same way. I'll give him a 6, but I think it was more the fact that Batag is one of those guys playing the most as well. So even though he's not injured, which is a good thing, because I guess he was lucky because the other ones were with
Oh,
With
you love the words unlucky,
yeah, you guys got me going on this, So, but he showed some signs of fatigue as well. He's not injured, which is a good thing, but he did show he was not the same. So all I have to say to Sporting players, we have to go to Braga and see what they're drinking, because that shit works, bro.
Danny, what would you give Bataglia out of 10?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. He didn't do anything of note, so I'll give him also a 6. Probably the first game in a Sporting jersey that Battaglia didn't do his job sort of defensively or didn't provide much offensively. And yeah, it could be fatigue. It could also be that the Braga players tactically were aware of him and shut him down, sort of thing, so that he wouldn't be able to push the ball forward. But yeah, defensively he didn't do good. He didn't do enough. So yeah, he gets a 6.
Fair enough. Steph, what do you think of Bruno Cesar out of 10? His game, not his looks, I should say.
Oh, okay.
If it's his looks, he's a 10 out of 10 to me. Look at that balding spot.
Holy shit! Yeah, he's a beautiful guy. Well, I'll give him a 7 as well. He was average, nothing fancy, but he didn't. It's not because of him that we tied the game. By no means. He has shown to us that he can be somewhat consistent. And but let me see one thing. He played next to Bastos, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sort of. He sort of rotated with Gelson or even Podence, so sometimes he'd go on the wing. But for the most part, he would try to be behind Bastos.
Yeah. So he did okay. So he gets a 6 from me. But hey, when that's all we have, bro.
Yeah, fair enough. Danny, what would you rate Bruno Cesar out of 10?
Yeah, to me he was a 7. He did, especially in the first half. He was pretty good. Bruno Cesar showing something that I've been saying for a while now, that he's a good player when we have no other options, and he's a good player to sort of come off the bench. He's a good squad player. He can play in multiple positions. He knows Jorge Jesus' tactics very well. So he was, even though he hasn't played as much as as the other guys, when he comes in, he still knows the system well enough. He still moves fluidly with the wingers when it comes to, especially with Gelson, because I would notice that Gelson and Acuna would be more central, at least in the first half. When Acuna was playing, they'd be more central rather than very out on the wings. And Bruno Cesar would be able to either, if he'd see Acuna drift more in the middle, he would go to the left, or vice versa with Gelson. So tactically, he's good, and he's always been pretty tactically aware offensively at Sporting. And today, the Braga game wasn't any different. And yeah, he gets a 7. He was the only thing that to me he has to work on, which is kind of tough seeing his age, is towards the 60th, 70th minute. He really quiets down because you can tell that he's fatigued, that he's really tired, and he can't push on further. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, before the goal went in, Jorge Jesus wanted to switch off Bruno Cesar for Petrovic or something like that. So you can tell he can never finish a game, and maybe that's something he needs to work on. But besides that, he get a decent game.
Yeah, I'll give Bruno Cesar a 7. He actually really surprised me this game, because in the first half, I definitely thought, I'm going to say he was our best player in the first half. He looked quite quick, which for Bruno Cesar is a massive feat, and he made some great passes, and I feel he was really tactically aware as well. So I feel like like we said about Jonathan Silva, Bruno Cesar is proving us wrong. Continue to, because with the unlucky injuries, nudge to Steph there, that he might have to step up even more. So yeah, hopefully Bruno Cesar continues the way he has. Next player I'll start off with because he was my man of the match. Bruno Fernandes. He got goal and assist, so I'll give him a 9. He was the only player who I thought was really trying towards the last couple of minutes and the second half. You know, a great cross into Bastos, and he had another one which Bastos missed by a few inches as well. Bruno Fernandes is. I gave him a lot of stick in the last few episodes, but he did prove me wrong in that match. You know, without him, I don't think without Bruno Fernandes, I think we would have lost probably. He was just he was fantastic in that game, to be honest. So yeah, he gets a 9 from me and my man of the match. Steph, what did you give Bruno Fernandes out of 10?
I'll give him an 8. Bruno Fernandes was actually amazing, and that's why we went to get him at 7:30 because to replace Anthony Silva, which he did basically. No one is saying that we're losing the games because of Anthony Silva, because Bruno Fernandes is doing what he's supposed to. I have no doubts in my mind if we had our regular team, our starting 11, that we would have won this game. But you know, it is what it is. But yeah, Bruno Fernandes playing number 8. He played real well, but again, let's not forget, he's not going to score as many goals as he was at the beginning because he's not playing number 9. Number 8 is a totally different dynamic. He's more of a playmaker, but as a playmaker, I like him too. He's doing real well. So, like Denny said, we just need to find someone that it's really, really good next to Bas Dost, and they can complement each other and score more goals because he can't be Bas Dost all the time. But you know, definitely Bruno Fernandes was the man of the match. So actually, I'm going to change it to 9 as well, a 9.
Fair enough. Danny, what would you give Bruno Fernandes out of 10?
Yeah, I agree. A 9. He was our man of the match for sure. Great assist on the Bastos goal. It was perfect. It was like to a T to his foot. Going forward, he's lights out. He combines well with Gelson, combines well with on the left, whether it's a Klinger or Paulins. He's provided a few chances now to Bastos where Bastos sometimes buries them, other times he doesn't. But him and Bastos are sort of forming this good partnership. And Bruno Fernandes has really showed his quality coming to Sporting, and especially in this Braga game, he showed that he can be that decisive midfielder for us. And he was lights out. I give him a 9.
Next player should have been Marcus Cunha, but just because Podence played more minutes here, I'm going to switch him out for Podence. Daniel, I'll let you go first. What do you give Podence out of 10?
Paulins gets a 7 for me, simply because he's probably the shortest man in football, and he's won at least 2 headers per game, and especially in Braga. So because of those 2 headers, actually he gets a 10 because he's fucking tiny and he'll win headers against these giant defenders. You know what I mean? No, honestly, I give him a 7. He played well. He fought for every ball going forward. He was very good as well. The only thing that Acuna is a bit better than him at is obviously defending, but look at the size of him. He was tiny. But you know, he was very tactically well, like he was well aware tactically. He would go from the left to just behind Bastos at times. Like he did well going forward at least. So he gets a 7.
Fair enough. Steph, what would you give Podence out of 10?
As well, a 7. It was basically when Podence came into the pitch, he did change the dynamic of the game totally. I mean, I can remember at minute 53, Podence he could have scored. Again, in minute 64, he was involved in another dangerous play, and then a penalty, against Podence that wasn't called, but it was a penalty. And that's why we can expect from Podence is that he's going to give it all on the pitch, and that's what he did. And every time he comes into the pitch, the dynamic changes, and the defense of our opponents don't like it. So a 7 to him, and I don't know if he's better off the bench than starting the games, but that's my feeling. It reminds me of a player from Porto called Juari. Every time he came into the pitch, he made all the difference. So maybe that's his style to play from the bench to shake the game. But a 7 to him.
Well, we'll probably find out due to Cunha's injury. But for Podence, I'll give him an 8. I feel like he played really well when he came on. And Acuna has some big shoes to fill, not because Podence is small, but Acuna is a fantastic player. So, like you said, Steph, when Podence came on, he changed you could say he changed tactically the game as well. He was just fantastic when he came on. Even like you said, late in the second half, he was still running, still giving it his all. Had a penalty disallowed again, not even given me, so not even disallowed. It wasn't even looked at, and he was always dangerous on the attack as well. So for me, Podence gets an 8. Next player, give this one to Steph. Gelson Martins. What would you rate him out of 10?
I'm going to give him a 7 too. He was consistent, but it just came out today on the Portuguese newspapers that Sporting is managing its fitness, and I think he's one of the players that we've been playing the most as well. And I'm not surprised that he's one of those lucky players that didn't get hurt. But I think
this guy cannot let that go. Huh?
No, because listen. There's one thing to be a Sportingista diehard, and there's one thing to be a Sportingista and being blind. And you can be blind and say it's just bad luck. Bad luck.
But you can't say that some bad luck isn't involved in it.
Well,
two players that seem healthy, especially Bas Dost, because Bas Dost has been rotated regularly. It's kind of unlucky for him to pull up with a quad strain, especially to me, Bas Dost is proof that some of this has to do with bad luck, because Jorge Jesus has rotated him well. In Champions League, Bas Dost doesn't play.
Okay, so you're telling me that it's just bad luck, 8 players being hurt?
I'm telling you, I said that Jorge Jesus is at fault for some of this, for sure. But it's also bad luck is somewhat involved too. To have constant injuries, to have a bunch of these injuries, a part of it has to be bad luck too.
Okay, listen. It's actually 8 because they say that Brian Ruiz, he got hurt in practice.
Oh, he does not.
Oh, he's not. Yeah, he's not in. Yeah, you're right. He's been playing every single game in fucking practice. That's why he's injured.
Yeah. I know. I found it quite funny, but that's bad luck. Like you said, it's just bad luck.
No, not all of it. To be fair, I don't think Coates. I don't think Coates is injured. I just think that since Uruguay have nothing to play for, it's friendlies. Jorge Jesus doesn't want to risk them.
No.
Because Jorge Jesus, if you notice, Jorge Jesus at Benfica, even he's done this a few times at Sporting, he would lie about saying, a certain player would be, it's match decision. If he's healthy enough, maybe he's coming off the bench. And then that same game, that same player would be starting and probably score. So these reports after the game, Coates seemed fine. If he's injured, I think it's just because either Sporting don't want to risk him, or he also doesn't want to risk going to Uruguay just to play a friendly.
But that's
in my opinion.
But that's not the way it goes, my friend. You can't just, as the coach of Sporting, decide, I don't want this guy to go to the Uruguay national team, so I'm going to say he's injured. The medical staff of Sporting has to send a report to the national team of Uruguay. It's not like that. It's they say
muscle fatigueness is easy to fake.
I know, but if they say muscle fatigue and they recommend him not to play the national team of Uruguay, knowing it's a friendly, they'll say, yeah, you know what? You're right. Let's not, don't send him, because they have no interest of losing him for the 2018 World Cup. Yeah. But anyway, listen, it's 8 players, but it could have been Gelson Martins 9. It could have been Bataglia 10. It could have been a lot more players. The medical staff now is realizing they have to manage it better. And JJ also has been realizing that. You have Petrovic. If you kept him, it's because you trust him. So you got to play them, or we're going to have a lot of bad luck in the next game.
Well, let's get back on track here. And Danny, what would you give Gelson out of 10? Did I ask you this already?
No, I'll give him a 7 though. Like he didn't. Same as Podence, he did well going forward. He did well actually defending too. There was that one chance that Braga had in the box when it was 1-0 up still. That I don't know where Jonathan Silva went, maybe to Narnia or something. And if it wasn't for Gelson Martins, it would have definitely been 1-1. So yeah, Gelson Martinez really hustled. He didn't really get his dribbling off as well. He's been a little off lately. I know he had that one great dribble against Chiellini, but he's been a little off lately. But he didn't play terrible today or against Braga. So yeah, he gets a 7 for me.
Yeah, I'd agree with the 7. You actually reminded me of that defensive play that he did, which I thought was fantastic. Because of all the players to start that shot, you wouldn't put Gelson there. So that was a great defense play by Gelson. And I think he did improve over his last 2 games. I don't count the Juventus one. If we're talking about just league games, I feel like he has improved in that Braga game for the ones that he's played previously. He looked much more sharp. He actually passed the ball. He did lose it a couple of times, but it wasn't all like the majority of the times that he lost it, like it has been in other games. So yeah, Gelson Martinez hopefully improves even more, and we get the Gelson Martinez we had last year. So I'll give him a 7. And the final player of the starting 11 is a Dutchman, the Flying Dutchman, Bas Dost. Steph, what would you give Bas Dost out of 10?
Well, let me give my score against about Gelson Martinez because you kind of skipped me.
No, I gave you the first one, and then you went on that big rant.
No, not
It's unlucky, man. You got unlucky stuff.
yeah, not Gelson Martinez. I didn't. Gelson Martinez was actually Danny the first one.
No, I gave it to you. I promise. I said you, and then you said you went on that thing about it could have been Gelson Martinez that were injured.
Yeah,
No.
unlucky. It was my fault. It was my fault. I interrupted you. It was my fault.
You know what? That's fine. Once you review the podcast later or tomorrow, then you'll see you did skip me for Gelson Martinez. But anyway, no, I'm telling you, did about Bas Dost. I think he did a phenomenal game. It's obvious what JJ wants from him. He wants him to be that typical goal striker. To be when Rui Patricio kicks the balls, he kicks right at them to win the ball, the first ball to possibly in that case Podins or Bruno César or Cunha. So and then when he plays striker, typical striker, cross me the ball and I'll score goals. And this is what he did. He scored a beautiful goal. And I remember he could have scored another goal at minute 66 and 63, especially at 66 when he got late to that beautiful cross by, I believe it was Bruno Fernandes. And he played well. He's doing everything that we expect from a striker and a number 11 like him. So I'll give him an 8, even though he had the bad luck of getting injured. But I give him an 8, and hopefully he'll have better luck next game.
Danny, what do you rate Dost out of 10?
To me, he gets an 8. Good finish on his goal. He almost got a goal a bit earlier than that. Again, sort of identical to I think it was against Juve, where he came sliding in. He was just off by centimeters. He's been stepping up ever since his goalless drought. Not only providing the goals, but being that target man, holding up the ball better, combining a bit better with his teammates. He did well against Braga in that aspect. To me, I'm not even trying to be funny. He was very like a shitty luck for him to get injured, especially in his on a quad, especially seeing as Bas Dost has been. Rotated, in my opinion, way too much for Doumbia. So maybe if Bas Dost had stayed, maybe we wouldn't have dropped back too much, or had such a low block, because we wouldn't be relying on a pacey striker to lead us on the counterattacks. But with that being said, there's no points on going with the what ifs. But yeah, he was an 8. He played well. He got his goal.
Yeah, I'd agree with an 8 as well. That finish was fantastic from Bas Dost. Like you said, he could have made it. It's 2 goals, but it's not 1. And I feel like he played very well, so I'll give him pretty much short and sweet. Give him an 8. That's all the players we have the rating review even, and so we'll move on to the manager, George Jesus, and I'll give George Jesus tactics out of 10.
Who, me?
Danny.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
George, I'll give him I'll give him a 7 because it was working. I'll give him a 6 only because it was working fine. The first half we were dominant. Second half we were dominant until we got the goal. After that, his decision to always drop in a lower block, especially to defend the 1-0 lead, he should learn by now that either his players aren't good enough or he isn't good enough to defend and be pragmatic and defend the 1-0 lead. And to me, it isn't the players, it's him. The way he structures the team defensively isn't good enough, and he should know better, especially after all the results that we've blown under the last 3 years with him. All the results that we've blown, whether it be a 1-1 tie that could have went as being a tie, and then last minutes we give it up, or it's us winning 1-0 and then we give up the lead, or we end up losing it like we did in this game for a little while. His substitutions were, I mean, 2 of them were forced, but Doumbia was, I don't understand why he would burn a player like Yuri Medeiros, who over the last 2 seasons in Boa Vista and I think it was Moreirense, he showed he has potential. He showed he can play. After 2 games here at Sporting, 2 bad games, of course, but after 2 games he can burn him. But Doumbia, after 5, 6, maybe even 7 bad games he's had so far this season, he continues to still stick with them. Is beyond me. George just gets a 6. Defensively, he's too poor. Going forward, this is probably the best Sporting team I've seen in a long time. But defensively, the Sporting team at times is atrocious, especially in the last 10 minutes of a game.
Fair enough. Steph, what do you give Georgie's tactics out of 10?
I'm going to give him a 5, and I agree with everything that Denny said. I would have done a substitute way earlier. Bruno Cesar, I would have substituted Bruno Cesar with Petrovic, and I would have dropped Petrovic in the number 6 or 8 position, and I would have moved up Bruno Fernandes to the number 9 position to strengthen the midfields, because that's where we, towards the end, that's where we got in trouble. But that's just me. He didn't make those kind of subs. Towards the end, he had to, Petrovic was about to go in, but at the last minute, he put Alan Ruiz, and he's the one who got the penalty kick, by the way, which it was expected, because now you got to go after the win. But I would have done a sub like a lot sooner, taking on Bruno Cesar, to tell Bruno Fernandes to go to number 9 position and put either Petrovic in number 6 if he's more comfortable, and tell Bataglia to go to number 8, but to be more defensive, obviously. And I think that's why we lost the game. It was a lack of fresh legs in the midfield, not so much the center backs, because a player, when he comes to an open space at center back, it's basically static. There's nothing much you can do. And I'll give him a 5, but also I'm going to add that there's nothing much you can do if he's missing 4 of his starters from the get-go, and then he loses 2 more during the game. So at 5, I've seen him doing better tactics than this one.
I'm going to disagree with you both slightly and give him a 7. Like I said at the start, if we played with our full team and we drew 2-2, then I'd be saying Georgie's has got a 4. But with the team he had at that time, I don't think there was much he could have done differently in that game. Or maybe apart from actually, I don't even see what substitutions he made wrong, to be honest, because he brought on Ariz and he got the penalty. He brought on Doumbia, but for who else are you going to bring on for Dost? He's injured. Who else would you bring on? You could literally only bring on, I don't know. There is no one else.
You can bring on Alan Ruiz sooner.
Yeah, but you said you don't like Doumbia because he hasn't proven himself. Alan Ruiz has done nothing of the sort.
Alan Ruiz has proven himself last season. Last season he was lights out.
So I know it's a different league, but he scored, what was it, 20?
I mean, if fair, it is. I mean, yeah, Switzerland. I mean, Basel did slap Benfica 5-0, so yeah, I guess you have a good point there. Fair enough.
For me, I just don't see how else George Jesus really could have done anything differently with the tools at his disposal, I guess you could say. So yeah, for me, he just gets a 7. And then on to the final one, we rate Sporting as a whole, and let's keep it short and simple, if possibly. And I'll give this one to Steph. Sporting's performance out of 10.
6.
Danny.
6.
I agree, a 6. So that brings us to the end of the review. Steph, it's everyone's time for everyone's favorite segment, and that is the sporting universe. So the floor is yours.
Okay, so basically, let's give some good news to our friends. The Oakham Patins, so it's the rolling skates. We played our first European League game against Corvette of France, and we won 6-1 in our Group D, which that's really good. Then the U15 Iniciados in the 11th round, we won 5-0 against Lourdes. U17 Juvenis, 11th round, we won away against Sintres, 3-0. Juniors against a very tough opponent, Belenenses, we tied 0-0 away. Our ladies, they crushed Figueirense 8-0. Handball Champions League, we lost against Montpellier, one of the best teams of handball at the international level, just by 1 goal away, 33-32. So that was a heartbreaker. Volleyball, the 7th round, we won 3-0 against Fonte do Bastardo. And then the second page, let me see, on the 5th of November, table tennis, we crushed Ponte do Pargo 4-1. Volleyball, the 8th round, they won 3-0 against Club Queiroz. Sporting B, we won 2-0 against Oliveirense. And guess who scored the goals? Would you like to guess?
Rafael Leão.
Okay, he scored 1 goal, and the other one?
Gelson Dalla.
Got it. Rafael Leão's 70th minute and Gelson Dalla 80th minute. And then futsal ladies, they also won against Herneiros. Futsal men, they won 4-1 against Brunhosa. And we have on Wednesday, Oakham Patins Sporting against Tomar. And then futsal, we have the 12th round, Belenenses Sporting. And Sporting plays next in Taça de Portugal, the Portuguese Cup, on the 16th of November at 8:30 your time against Famalicão. That's it. That's all I got.
So thank you for that roundup. Finally, some good news in a pretty poor week for most Sporting fans. So the international break is coming up. Like Steph said, there is a Taça de League game next week, but to literally have no disrespect to the Sporting team, but it's not going to have none of the starting 11, none of the great players in. So I think we might give that one a miss, depending on the result. If we're talking in terms of podcasts, we probably won't see one for a few weeks until Sporting starting 11 team Sporting play. So I believe that would be against who is our next league game, I believe.
Yes.
No?
Yes, you're correct. Passo Ferreiros.
Yeah.
So it'll probably be that game. So speaking of, thank you for tuning into this week's episode. It's been a fun one. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, share on Twitter. Let us know your feedback. Yeah, thank you for tuning in. See ya.